Today on the CTV News at 5, thousands of dollars in damage after a hailstorm slams Cardston. Plus, an incredible turnout for the opening ceremonies of the Alberta Summer Games. And it's Championship Friday for the Canadian Women's Amateur.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our Olympic edition of the CTV Lethbridge News. Monday to Friday for the next couple of weeks, our news will air at 6:30. So you can take in all of the Olympics and still get your local news, weather and sports. And speaking of that weather.
This is the biggest hail I've ever seen in my life.
While Cardston area residents are cleaning up from this hailstorm from last night, another severe thunderstorm warning has been issued tonight for the same area. The warning goes from Vulcan south to the U.S. border, including Lethbridge. Last night, though, Mother Nature delivered hail the size of golf balls to residents of Cardston and the surrounding area. This YouTube video shows that huge hailstones pelted the area for about 20 minutes, causing roof and siding damage, dents in cars, and damage to trees and plants. Some residents even had broken windows and damage to their tent trailers. Now, these photos of the hail in Cardston were sent to us by Jared Kenley. And as you can see, the damage to homes and vehicles is pretty extensive. The hailstorm hit the Cardston area around 6:30 last night. And today, residents were left cleaning up the mess to damaged vehicles, homes, and businesses. Kayla Carr reports.
The impact of Thursday night's hailstorm in the Cardston area is obvious. Throughout the town, there's significant damage where hail smashed through vehicles and homes.
Our roof is seriously damaged. We have holes 4 inches wide in some places, probably over 100 holes in the roof. We've lost vents. Our minivan over there is damaged. You can see the window in the background, siding around the whole house. Our sheds have holes in the roofs. We took quite a hit.
It was huge, big.
No way!
The Peace family shot this video during the storm. Many people say the hail was the size of golf balls and baseballs.
It broke our skylights in the trailer, and so then the hail was coming into the trailer.
Ruth Carter was spending the night at the Lee Creek campground. She says her trailer is likely a write-off because of storm damage.
The solar panel, the air conditioning, the TV antenna, you know, all the skylights, they're all gone. One set of the windows we didn't have completely down, and so it broke all 3 of those. And then there was just a lot of, from that there was a lot of leakage.
Businesses in the area were also hit hard. At the Ford dealership, all but 2 cars are covered in dents with smashed out windows. Crews are also working overtime to repair the air conditioning units on the roof of a local grocery store. Residents are also cleaning up. Many we spoke to have insurance, but say it'll still take a long time to recover from this storm. Kayla Carr, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And Alberta Health Services has confirmed to us that 14 people went to hospital with hail-related minor injuries. And in the northeast United States, they're cleaning up too. Following a night of some wild weather, 2 people were killed by the powerful storm system. A man was struck by lightning in Brooklyn, while a Pennsylvania woman was killed by a falling tree. Over 100,000 people were without power last night as the storm stretched from Oklahoma to Connecticut. Strong storms caused damage throughout New York State, including reports of a tornado in the city of Elmira. A lot of active weather today, Dory, and the severe thunderstorm watches and warnings kind of in, and then they are out.
They come in and then they're out, and then you have to look the long term. After midnight tonight, we're looking at things settling down, go back into a sunny day tomorrow. Very strong area of high pressure will be sliding into place. So yeah, just another active day in southern Alberta, and then back into sunshine. I'll have more details coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Dory. Well, the Summer Olympic Games have begun in London. The 3.5-hour opening ceremony made the most of British humor, and even the Queen was in on the joke. The Queen made her entrance with James Bond. supposedly leaping out of a helicopter into the Olympic Stadium and officially starting the show. The ceremony showcased other British royalty as well, including Beckham with the torch on the Thames and Mr. Bean and his best. And there were a lot of laughs, and it culminated with the parade of athletes and the lighting of the Olympic cauldron. And the ribbon was cut this morning to officially open Canada Olympic House. Governor General David Johnston cut the ribbon, and this will serve as home for our athletes during the Olympics. This is where Lethbridge's Jim and Heather Stacey, who are competing in the hammer throw, are staying, along with Liz Gleedle, who's been training in Lethbridge. She's competing in javelin. If you haven't heard yet, the Olympics are coming here to CTV, and that means a temporary move for our newscast. As we mentioned earlier, starting Friday, you'll be able to join us, or starting today rather, you can now join us for all your local news, weather and sports at 6:30. You can catch us online through our CTV Lethbridge Facebook page or on Twitter, and we will return to our normal time after the Olympic Games. Well, it's the first day of the Alberta Summer Games almost being in the books. Athletes from the host community of Lethbridge received the loudest applause during last night's opening ceremony at the NMAX Centre. 2,500 athletes from across the province are in Lethbridge to compete in over a dozen summer sports. The athletes range in age from 11 to 17 and represent 8 Alberta zones. There are also thousands of coaches, officials, and volunteers taking part in the games. Now, some 3,000 athletes, parents, and coaches are in the city throughout the event. As we mentioned, University Stadium is just one of the venues being used this weekend. It's become home to the track and field events as well as football. Organizers say so far, so good.
This game so far is a wonderful experience. The host community has treated us really well. Excellent accommodations, transportation, food services. All of our athletes are having great times, great performances. I've heard positive feedback from all my coaches and my zone reps. Up to this point, we are doing incredibly well.
For a full list of events and times, visit 2012-albertasummergames.ca. Well, it's known by many as the Forgotten War because of its place in history, falling right between World War I and the Vietnam War, but those who lived through the conflict remember it very well. Today is Korean Veterans Day, and the Korean community took time to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Daryl Rummold reports.
Veterans, close order, right?
Don Dalkey remembers well the sacrifice and horror of the Korean War. He was a member of the 2nd Regiment Royal Canadian Horse Artillery, Canada's main force, that arrived in Korea in May of 1951.
As a young man, it was a bit exciting, but there was a lot of tragedy involved. There's no question about that.
He was just 19 when he went to war. He's now 82. Some 27,000 Canadians served in the Korean War, and another 7,000 after the conflict ended served in peacekeeping missions. Most of those troops trained in as little as 8 months, a task that nowadays takes up to 3 years. The Korean War broke out in June of 1950 when communist forces from North Korea invaded South Korea. As many as 25,000 people perished in the battle, among them 516 Canadian soldiers, another 1,100 wounded in 5 major battles.
Most people were critical of it, but they didn't have a choice once they enlisted.
John Gogo was also a young man when he entered the conflict. On the 59th anniversary of the day the Korean War officially ended, he's honoring friends.
We celebrate to remember what we not only accomplished, but those who were killed. I hope it's the right thing to do.
Those in Lethbridge's Korean community say they're thankful for the lasting bond created through conflict.
I think today is without your sacrifice and devotion, Korean would never have settled and developed to be among most advancing nations.
Still, it's called the Forgotten War.
I've fought that argument for over 60 years. It is annoying. When we came back, we landed in Seattle, and all the way up to Vancouver, there was Americans lined up in the field with huge banners, "Welcome home, Canada." Across the border to Canada, zero.
The Korean War, gone, but not forgotten. Not yet. Daryl Rummold, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Veterans say they're proud of the way that Korea was able to rebound after the war and become what it is today. Residents of nursing homes and other long-term care facilities in Alberta will soon be eating freshly prepared food again. Health Minister Fred Horne has announced that food will no longer be prepared off-site and then reheated. He says Alberta Health Services will be required to prepare meals within their facilities that look and taste home-cooked and satisfy cultural preferences. He says the change will allow residents more choice and flexibility. AHS will put together a plan by October, and Horne says the new meals should be in place by December. To the markets today, where after a rough week and a lot of losses, the markets rebounded and ended on an up note. Here are the closing numbers for the week.